This is the Mike Schmidt Podcasting Network.
I'm not making any money talking these days. Good Christ. I'm a dick, folks. I'm not going to lie to you. Still am. I guess I am a decent guy because I'm a fucking jerk. And I'm not a jerk. Apparently I'm a dick. I'm not an awful guy, but I've done so much ridiculous stuff. I'm an awful guy. Hey, what's happening? Mike Schmidt, 40-year-old boy podcast. Trying this for a second time. I literally just did the open and forgot what to say. Because I was so distracted by how incredibly strong my voice sounds in my headphones, folks. That's right. I come to you with a clean bill of health. Everything is fixed and squared away. Blood has been taken and tested. There's been a centrifuge involved, I believe. There's been I went today to the ENT. Oh, that was, folks, that's fun. Let me just tell you right now, if you've never been to an ENT, go. Because it involves everything. It involves your E, your N, and your T. He takes care of all of it. He gets in there. I tell him what's going on because I will tell you, I finished the Levaquin. Folks, my show is, again, more of a book than a movie. So you need to have read last week's chapter to know what I'm going to talk about now. So if you folks did not hear last week's show, go back and listen. And then you'll know exactly what I'm going to talk about for the next few minutes. So I had to go. I pity anybody who just jumps into this show out of nowhere because it's happened. And then, of course, those are the reviewers. Like people who listen are fans and they listen to all of them. But reviewers are the ones who jump in out of nowhere and just go, "Oh, who's this idiot?" And yeah. But then again, I guess everybody kind of does that when they listen to the show. I have no idea. I think that would be a great way to answer your phone. Wouldn't that be? Who's this idiot? So it works both ways. It's like you're saying about yourself, like, "Hey, who's this idiot?" But then you're telling the person on the other end of the phone, "Who's this idiot?" Folks, I'm nothing if not a man who defies convention. So there you go. That's a new way to answer your phone. You know what? I'm declaring war on hello. That's it. Fuck hello. It's out of here. No longer is that a conventional greeting or a standard way to answer your phone. I say you go the other way. You say, "Who's this idiot?" That's what I would do. This is a man who, last year I was the man who, I took on the ellipses. I changed that to mean you fuck. And now, hello is finished. Every time you answer a phone, say, "Who's this idiot?" That's what you got to say. I don't know if you need the upturn there at the end. I don't know if you need that little lilt that, "Who's this idiot?" Nah, that's not good. "Who's this idiot?" I like that. There you go. I tell you, whenever you answer your phone from now on, you know, and make it your cell phone. If you answer your home phone like that, that might not be good, because what if your aunt is calling? You don't want that. Oh my God! And speaking of that, Karen, my wife, Karen, is an aunt several times over. She's got many nieces and nephews. The other day, she was texting her niece. Oh man, I'm like, because first of all, it pissed me off because Karen's not paying attention to me. So, of course, that right away makes things itchy, and I was gonna say iffy and sketchy, but I wound up saying itchy and skeffy. I should just say itchy and scratchy and be done with it. Because you know what? My wife and I, we fight. Fight. The Michael and Karen show. All right, so she's texting her aunt, or no, she's texting her niece. And I said to her, I go, "What are you doing?" She's like, "Oh, I'm texting my niece." And I go, "Why would you do that? That's horrible." And she's like, "What do you mean? I'm texting her." I go, "No, but nobody wants to get a text from their aunt. That's terrible. You're too old to be texting anybody, quite frankly, but let alone your niece. Your niece doesn't want that." Because my wife does that. She'll she's got a nephew, and my wife is just one step away from licking her thumb and wiping a smudge off their face. Like, she's that person. Like, what are you doing? You've got to be, aren't you the cool aunt? Shouldn't you be the cool aunt at this point? I'm not saying you got to get him Percocet or anything, but Jesus Christ. Don't ramp it up and go 80-year-old on him, for God's sakes. You might as well just buy a beekeeper hat and wear that all over the place and gardening gloves. Jesus God, let it go. But she's texting her, and I said to her, I go, "All right, why are you doing that?" She's like, "Oh, I'm just trying, and texting her, it's better than calling her." I said, "Man, all right, think about this. When you were 20, would you want to receive a text from your aunt? Think about that. Because my aunt was the woman who made Thanksgiving dinner. Do I really want her sending a "Yo, B, what's up" on my phone? No, I don't want to think about that. I don't need to get a text from somebody named Marge. Oh, whatever. All right, maybe I'm overreacting. But I couldn't believe she was texting her niece. I'm just like, you're not cool. You're not cool. Stay out of it. At some point, you need to remove yourself and become like an authority figure type person. You can still be kind of cool, like lenient, but don't be cool like, you're Poochie in The Simpsons and you show up, "Hey, dudes." You don't want to be that person, do you? Oh, again, you got to find a nice balance between thumb smudge wiper and old beekeeper. That's what you need. You need to find that balance. And I can tell you that texting is not in the middle there. Texting much further to the wrong end. All right. Hi. So it's Tuesday. I will tell you that too, folks. It's a Tuesday record because I'm very, very busy on Wednesday this week. I'm on a plane tomorrow, so I mean, we had to do it today. I had to, poor Lily. She had to, that's Lily Bunched Up, our friend who's not laughing. She's here. It's just because you know why? Because you're reading I see you reading something on the computer, so I'm like distracted. Like I want to call you on it because this show, essentially, folks, this show's for you, but it's not. This show is done for Lily Bunched Up. That's the only reason I do the show. I have to because that's who I'm not grown up enough yet as a performer to just talk. Like it's funny. I hear Bill Burr's podcast, and God love Bill Burr, fucking hysterical stand-up comedian, one of the best in the world. I listen to his podcast, and the ones I've listened to, it's just him talking into a phone. I could not fucking do that. I could. I mean, fuck. Who are we kidding? I could talk forever and a day, but to not get any response or feedback, I just don't think I've grown enough as a performer to be able to just do that. I mean, because on stage, the second you start doing bits on stage, you don't get anything, and then you're like, your mouth dries up, and you get like weird lips, and you start smacking your lips. It's awful. So I mean, this show is done exclusively for Lily Bunched Up, and you guys all happen to be able to get it via the internet eventually. But this show is So then when I look up and she's reading something in my head, I'm just like, oh no, this is awful. And I'll be truly honest with you, folks. There isn't a day that goes by or a moment in any day that goes by where I don't think, oh, no, this is awful. I mean, it doesn't matter. I don't want to hang this on her, for Christ's sake. Literally, that's what's going through my head at all times. I'm going, oh, is this good enough? No matter what it is. If I'm making a sandwich or why a sandwich? Why would I go to sandwich? The stupidest thing in the world. Mex is like, dude, why do you always go sandwich? I don't know. I like the word sandwich. You know what I mean? I have friends who like the word slacks and things like that, which are, fine. But I have a friend who, Pardo always says slack, nice slacks. But I say I like sandwich. I enjoy the word sandwich. I think it's a fun word, a funny word. It's fun to say. Folks say it at home, sandwich. So it's a Tuesday record. Let's get on to that. I can't get in the sandwich loop. What is that? Also, the sandwich vortex. It's just I just picture it like in a cartoon, like in Wizard of Oz. It's just you're spinning around in a house and sandwiches are flying around your head. Just constant subs and hoagies and grinders. Oh my. So it's Tuesday, I guess was the point I was trying to make. Because I have to go on a plane tomorrow. I have to go on a plane tomorrow. Yes, you know what it is? It's Con Air. They're putting me on a plane. It's me and Malkovich and Cusack and all of us. We're flying. So I went to the ENT today, folks. I have a clean bill of health. I will tell you that all of my blood work came back clean, courtesy of my doctor. And it was funny when he told me about it. He almost sighed. He's just like, everything's fine. I told you, I guaranteed you everything would be negative. I'm like, good, all right, that's fine. That's a load off my mind. But still, my throat is sore, and I got a gland that's swollen. And he's like, all right, finish the Levaquin. If anything else happens, give me a call a week after that. And I can only imagine he then quit doctoring. Like he called up. He called up the chiefs of doctors. Do they have a union? What are they fucking? I have no idea. Whoever it was, he called them and he tendered his resignation. He immediately flew to a third world country to take care of the sickness and people there because it's much better than having to deal with my fucking goofball psychosis calling him every minute. Oh my God, I think I have a hangnail in my throat. Shut up, kill yourself. That's my diagnosis. Shut up, and I think my prescription, kill yourself. There you go. But I went to the ENT and everything's fine. I will tell you, it's not fun. My ENT was a young guy, nice guy. But the thing is, once he found out I was a comic, because I had to tell him that I use my voice for a living, forget about it. I mean, he turned into Steve Carell from The Office like fucking that. I mean, he's winging them off, and he's like bing, bing, and he's playing ping pong with me. And I'm at a little bit of a disadvantage because I'm worried about dying. So I can't exactly sling it back and forth with the guy. He's got me, he's got it all over me. So whatever. The bottom line is he goes ahead and he sprays a thing in my nose, and I will tell you, I don't like nose spray. I hate it. I've always hated it. Mucinex, Sinex. I may be making up brand names, but I do not like anything sprayed into my nose. Just like my ears and my nose. I don't like anything going to my head, I think, folks. That's the bottom line. Although, except for the Q-tip swab that we learned last week that I could fucking throat. So, but nose and ears, forget about it. I want nothing in there. But he sprayed some spray in there, and he said, you know what? I need to put a camera in your throat. So he had to run it through my nose. So he had to put it up into my nose, and then it comes down in your like through. Oh my God, dude! Let me tell you, that's not fun. That is not fun. That's it's not as bad as when I had a fucking railroad spike jammed into my cock to find out if I had chlamydia or whatever I had. But it was certainly unpleasant. Uh, and it's going, and you can feel it. Like you feel it go into your head, and then I feel it come out into your throat, and then it's looking around. It's like a robot, little robot in your throat, and but everything's fine. So I'm in my throat. My vocal cords are fine. So apparently, not only can my podcasting career continue, but it turns out that my budding young singing career can take off again. I'm very happy about that. I can go ahead and lay down some tracks and bust out some tunes, folks. And then you'll see me at the Grammys next year, spinning around on a trapeze and throwing glitter on everybody. That's how great was Pink at the Grammys, folks. That was fucking phenomenal. I mean, I'm a Pink guy anyway. That can be taken 9 different ways if you hear that sentence. But yeah, I'm a Pink guy, and it's so funny. I was watching the Grammys with my wife because I'm not an award show guy. Don't care. Could not care less, really. But Karen loves them, and again, like I've said, that's lady MMA. That's ladies UFC right there. All award shows and gossip shows and stuff. But I happen to be home, so I'm like, oh, I'll watch it because what I'll usually do is she'll watch the Grammys, and then the next day I'll watch them in 11 minutes. I'll just fast forward through and watch whatever singers I want to see. Because, inevitably, sometimes you're going to see Mary J. Blige do No More Drama like she did in fucking 2002, and you're going to almost tear up because it's fucking amazing. But most of the time, instead, you're sitting through the Zac Brown Band and their beards. So, I mean, it's not good. Or the Michael Jackson tribute starring Celine Dion. Really? That happened? It's funny because I guess because in the proper lighting, Celine Dion could be Michael Jackson at this point. I mean, and I mean Michael Jackson now because she's white enough and looks dead enough to be fucking Michael Jackson. Jesus Christ, Celine Dion. What a week for Celine Dion. She comes to L.A., she does the Grammy Michael Jackson tribute, and now she's in the new We Are the World. Did you see they're doing that? The new We Are the World? What? Will these guys never stop sucking each other's dicks and congratulating themselves? Look, I understand they're doing it for Haiti. Good for you. We all donated to Haiti via buying the Year One set for January. Thank you for doing that. But it just seems like these people wanted to be on the news. Look, I understand Quincy Jones and I understand Lionel Richie. Whatever the fuck. Who cares? I mean, what do I care? People want to help people. Help people. That's fine. But it just seems like every time, literally, it's just because it happened today and I kept turning on TV and they're interviewing people and they're talking about, oh, well, I felt like I had to do something. Really? You had to go sing a verse for Haiti? I mean, it just you didn't do anything that complicated. And this gets back to the Grammys because again, I said Pink was amazing, and I think she was amazing in context. Okay, quite frankly, her voice is amazing, great outfit, but let's be honest, they put her in a blanket and dunked her in a fucking dunk tank. That's all they did and spun her around. And also I think that was beautiful though. I love the fact that they lifted her in the air, she's soaking wet, and they go, hey, let's spin dry her over a bunch of people in formal wear. Fucking fantastic. I love the fact anybody in the the back 30 rows, and of course I'm sure it was agents and fucking music producers that they don't care about. Anybody who was important was close to the stage, they didn't get fucking wet. Believe me. They had no problem drip drying Pink over some goddamn recording engineer. They were thrilled with it. But when I say that Pink was amazing, it's because she looked great and her voice is amazing. But the aerial thing was, whatever. It looked neat, but it wasn't really that big a deal. She got put into in a hammock and dunked into a fucking wading pool. There you go, done. And then they spun her around. But the reason I thought it was amazing was because it came on the heels of the fucking horrifyingly self-congratulating, look at how great I am performance by fucking Beyonce. Oh my God, was that horrible. And it was funny, my wife and I disagreed then, we disagree now, but as we were watching it, I go, this is terrible, right? Because she did a song called If I Were a Boy, which is a beautiful song, but she decided to do it as if she was screaming it in an alley at someone before she fought them. It was the weirdest take on that song I've ever seen. And even like at the end of the night when they were reviewing the show, someone was like, Beyonce showed her angry side. Why the fuck are you showing your angry side? What the fuck do you have to be angry about? You're Beyonce. You and Jay-Z literally could purchase half this country. You could buy it and own it and then stock it with guys dressed as security guards and dance around and yell? Because that performance, she started in the aisle and there's a bunch of dudes dressed like the Riot Squad. But then they dance around because apparently they're the gay Riot Squad, which is fine. I got no problem with that. If those guys had shown up at Stonewall, those riots would have been a lot more interesting and fun. if that would have been the SWAT team and the riot squad that showed up there, but this thing it's not just legendary, it's fabulous. But Beyonce has these dancing riot squad guys, and she's screaming, "If I were a boy," like she's like she means it. That's the thing. She's screaming like, "If I were a boy," as if I were a boy. Like she's so mad in this song. And then in the middle of it, she throws in an Alanis Morissette tribute for no reason, and which was fine. I mean, I like cover tunes and stuff like that. But the thing that drove me crazy was she just look, Beyonce's a diva. All of them are divas, and they all get away with their diva behavior. But the reason they get away with their diva behavior is because everybody wants to work with them and they're successful. So when she finishes that performance, which I thought was, quite frankly, mediocre to bad, and again, who the fuck am I to criticize Beyonce? Look, she's got an amazing singing voice. I own her albums. I'm not saying she's a bad artist. I'm saying that particular performance I didn't care for. This entire podcast is, you know what? I'm just going to call this the 40-year-old waffle. Again, last week I waffled. This week I waffle because I'm trying to change, folks. I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be some guy who fucking vomits snark all over everybody. I want to be a guy who buys his wife a puppy. You know what I mean? I don't want to be this guy. I don't want to be the guy who's angry and that sucked and that sucked and that sucked because I have a tendency to go that way. Believe me, it runs in my fucking family. I'm talking to my brother the other day. Oh my God, my poor brother. I don't I love my mom. All right, we all know I love my mom, right? My mom's a good person. She raised 5 boys on her own, and probably went through about $1 million in fucking pot to do it. But that's fine. Good for her. Whatever got her through it and kept her from drowning us in a sack. Which is quite frankly true because my mom actually said that one time. My uncle, one of my uncles, I've told the story about Thanksgiving when my mom had to scrape all the food back. Well, one time my mom would borrow money because she was a single mom raising 5 boys and she was working a job and sometimes she needed money or a car or whatever. So one of my uncles sat her down once and said, "Hey, you know what? You really got to think about getting rid of these kids," and meant it. Like he thought that she should just give us up for adoption. And the thing is, it's not like we were 5 babies. At the time when he sat her down with this conversation, I might have been 9. You know what I mean? My older brother was 11, and then my youngest brother was 4. It wasn't like you were just, like I said, when there's a litter of puppies born, and you sell them or get rid of them, well, it's because they haven't had a lot of time to bond with their mom or their family at that point. I'm almost double digits at this point. Don't fucking give me away. What are you thinking about? But that's what my mom said to him. Because I can remember it vividly because she told us. She actually, because that's my mom. My mom is vindictive to the fucking end, man. And I don't care because I'm all for it. Like I told you, I wanted to punch my grandfather in the fucking face. But my mom, she went ahead and she got this speech and the guy's like, "You really got to think about doing something about these kids." And my mom's like, "What does that mean?" He goes, "Well, getting rid of them or you got to do something." And my mom actually said to him, "What am I supposed to do? Put them in a bag and throw them in the fucking lake?" And my mom told us that. She made sure we knew. So then I guess, I don't know if she just wanted more allies in hating my uncle. I have no idea why she would clue us in. But it also made me go, imagine, wrap your mind around that. I'm 9, and my mom tells me one of my uncles wants me dead. You know what I mean? Just the weirdest. Hey, you know what? That piece of shit, you know what he said to me? He said, "Yeah, I got to get rid of you kids." And I was like, "What, throw you in the fucking lake?" I'm like, "Ma, I'm not 30. What are you having this conversation with me for?" Jesus Christ. Let's, there's a phrase, kid gloves. There's a reason they use it. Why don't you get them and put them on? Because I'm half of that phrase. Jesus God. Take that with you. Take that knowledge with you. Hey, your uncle wants me to get rid of you motherfuckers. Okay, good. Could you help me with my homework, maybe, before you, send me off to the fucking gruel factory? What the hell? Terrible. So, but that's my mom, man. My mom is fucking tooth and nails. So, I talked to my brother the other day. I love my mom, but I don't want to be one of those dudes who just bitches about sports and the government the rest of his life and just sits around and does nothing and accomplishes nothing. I don't want to be that fucking guy, man. But my brother tells me he's watching movies with my mom and he rents movies. And he goes, "Yeah, I went 1 for 4 in the movies." What does that mean? He's like, "Ma, Ma." And when he says, "Ma," I know what that means. All right, it means my mom shit on whatever the fuck you rented, which is fine. But I guess I go, "Well, what'd you rent?" And he goes, "Oh, I rented Paranormal Activity." I said, "Okay." And I firmly believe, I don't know if you folks have seen it, I firmly believe that's a movie you should have seen in a packed theater. Okay, that's the kind of film it is. You need to be it's an experience film. You got to be there with a bunch of people and see reactions. It's fun. In the house, I don't think it's that fun. But what do I know? So he plays it, and he says that after like 5 minutes, my mom says, "Is this one of those fucking movies where they hold the camera themselves?" And my brother just goes, "Yeah, I think so. It's supposedly like footage of what happened to them." And my mom just goes, "So they're going to be holding the camera the whole fucking time?" And my brother's like, "Yeah, I think that's the way it is." And he said, my mom just goes, how can you even call it a fucking movie if you're fucking filming it yourself? I don't even understand it. It's like, movie has cameramen, right? And he said he's just sitting there, insides clenching, just like, oh, you got to be fucking kidding me. And he says he gave it another 15 minutes of my mom going, wow, this is just a piece of shit. I'll tell you what, you can't, if you're going to make a movie, you should make a movie. You shouldn't be, having people, like my mom completely misses the point of the fact that it was found footage of a couple who had an incident. She wants nothing to do. After 20 minutes, my brother Andy goes, well, why don't we just turn it off and go to the next movie? My mom's like, yeah, this is a piece of shit. I don't want it. So he has to turn off Paranormal Activity and take it out. So... Now, mind you, he made popcorn. Like my brother, he's trying to be nice to my mom. So it's like, they got the surround sound kicking, they got popcorn, and not microwave popcorn, but they make the old school popcorn in a Dutch oven on the stove top. They throw some fucking butter on there. Yeah, they don't mess around. So so then he throws in the next movie that he rented, Terminator Salvation. Now, he could have called me, and I would have told him, dude, that movie's fucking horrendous, because I saw it at the movies last year, and I think we all remember my discussion of the Terminator mythology and how, if you think about it, for even 5 minutes, it completely falls apart on its face. But he gets it, so he throws it in. And, again, surround sound kicking, booming. And finally, 15 minutes in, my mom goes, is Schwarzenegger not in this movie? And my brother goes, no, I don't think he's in this one. And there's a beat, and he just hears, he won't even look. He's just there. He's staring at the movie screen, praying that sound won't happen. Fuck that. Here comes the death rattle. Yeah. I don't understand why you call it a fucking Terminator movie. Schwarzenegger's the fucking Terminator, isn't he? I mean, the whole thing is that he's the fucking Terminator. He comes back and then, right? Isn't he the fucking Terminator, Schwarzenegger? Yes, he's the Terminator. But this is different. This is like, it's in the future, but then they came back. Well, I don't fucking care about this future. Who can follow and keep up with this goddamn future? Fucking unbelievable back and forth. All I know is the Terminator has Arnold Schwarzenegger. That's the fucking movie that I saw. He's supposed to be the Terminator. He said just right. He's trying to, finally he just goes, all right, what do you say we turn this one off? Yeah, fuck that. That's fine. He fucking turns it off. He's telling me the story, and I'm just like, oh, dude. I don't know who's going to call me first. Is it going to be my mom in terror that my brother has fucking decided that's it, he's killing her? Or will it just be the police after stumbling upon the scene after my brother's taking care of the job? Like, I don't even know. I couldn't understand. He's telling me, he's just like, yeah, dude, I just fucking checked out at that point. So movie night was over. Lights got turned on and fucking surround sound got turned off. And my mom probably watched 4 hours of Antiques Roadshow and fell asleep on the couch. Honestly, I don't want to be that guy. And I have those tendencies, man. Like I said, I watch the Grammys and I just want to fucking shit on it. I'm like, oh, fucking Lady Gaga and Elton John. Yeah, really? That's happening? And I'm watching it, and I'm thinking to myself, God, I pray to God I don't have to suck a cock when this is finished. I don't know. Because I had that urge. I had that urge. I'm not going to lie to you. I've never had it before in my life. But, I mean, I was like, oh, well, I guess I have to blow somebody, right, after I officially watched all this? Because I defy anybody to watch that Lady Gaga, Elton John thing and make any sense of it whatsoever. None. At least Madonna had a point. And that seems weird to say. That's something you never would have said in 85 or 92. You never would have said that to yourself. Because I even said to Karen, here's me. Here's the new me. I was trying to be positive about it. And Lady Gaga was out there in her Marilyn Manson costume with her, Animal and Hawk Road Warriors eye makeup. And she's wearing her, her fucking vagina lips are flapping in the breeze as she runs around and dances in her green fucking space costume. And I looked at Karen and I go, you know what? You ever see that thing on YouTube of Lady Gaga when she was just Sarah, or whatever the fuck her name was? And she's singing in a coffee house being ignored by NYU students. And I said, you know what? I think it's really amazing that she went from that to look to this. She's at Staples Center with like 80 dancers and fucking fire and pianos. And I mean, that's fucking great. That should give you hope that anybody could do it. What are you doing?
I'm looking at the picture.
Oh,
I didn't watch it of Lady Gaga.
Oh, you didn't see her?
She's a drag queen.
Yeah, and I mean that's the thing is she went camel toe, but like no pants camel toe. So literally her unitard bit in, and then she fucking she had the lip hang going on. It was like, oh my Christ, because Karen even said when we were watching it, she goes, hey, they're blurring out like her crotch. Do you think you can see her crotch? I'm like, oh, I don't think so. Can you? I mean that would seem to be like that would even make Madonna go, all right, look, come on, what are you thinking? But then the weirdest thing is like. She's got dancers and then some guy coming out and he's like, oh, Lady Gaga, and she wants to be she's a monster, and she gets thrown into some fucking smokestack, and then she emerges with Elton John and dueling pianos. Okay, that's fine. I guess I'm kind of following it at that point. But then Lady Gaga is covered with makeup, like she's all smudged, like there was an explosion. But even worse, Elton John is covered with like smudges of makeup, like there was an explosion. And I'm like, he's been under the stage. How the fuck? What did he even get caught in? What explosion was there? It made no sense. None. I mean, honestly, watching it, it just looked like a fever dream that I had when I had the swine flu a couple of months ago. That's what it looked like. The whole thing played out just as ridiculousness. And I'm trying not to shit on it. Like I said, I tried to be the guy who's like, hey, isn't it great that she's come from a coffee house to this? But I have to be honest, by the end of it, I was like, boy, other than Elton John, I think the coffee house looked like preferable to this nonsense. Because she was on American Idol last year and she sang Poker Face, and it was unbelievable. It was so great. And I'm sure Lady Gaga's great, but again, it's not for me. But I'm trying not to be that guy who vomits snark all over everything. I watched the Grammys and Bon Jovi was on. Bon Jovi, really? They're back. They're still there. And now they've reinvented themselves as some kind of weird like country band, or I don't know. They sing with some weird twang. And then the funniest part is there was a gimmick where they're like, hey, you can vote to see what the third song Bon Jovi will sing is. How about if I vote they don't get to sing one song? Are you shitting me? 3 songs, Bon Jovi? You're kidding me, right? But they came out and did 2 songs, then everybody voted for the third song, and I desperately tried to hack in and vote for no songs, but it didn't happen. But again, I don't want to be that guy. I instead look and I go, you know what? I saw Bon Jovi open for Rat. Isn't it great that they've come this far? And you can't do it. I can't pull it off, folks. I want to. But then I see the new We Are the World, and I want to. My first instinct is just fucking go, oh, yeah, I don't fucking think so. But I can't be that guy. I can't. I want to change. I want to be the guy who looks at the bright side and embraces everything and realizes that everything is good for everyone. And maybe if it's not for me, it could be for you, and that's fine. I should just let it be. But I got to be honest with you, man. I'm trying to change and be a Mr. Bright Outlook and realize that everything has a place for everybody and everybody likes what they like, and there's no reason to bust their balls or make fun of them for it, and there's certainly no reason to shit on stuff. But I guess, unfortunately, pop culture has decided I'm not going to be able to go ahead and make that change. Because it's not cooperating, folks. As much as I want to see the bright side and look at the beauty and everything, I turn on the TV and I see an upcoming commercial for The Tonight Show with Jay Leno, and I realize things are not good. As much as I want to take a step back and realize, you know what, people like what they like and I shouldn't shit on that, then I got to see an interview with Miley Cyrus where she says that Hannah Montana will just end and there won't be repeats in perpetuity because the character deserves more respect than that. And I realize I can't take a back seat. Every time I think to myself, you know what? Be a better man. Be a better person. Don't be that jagoff who looks at everything and hates it just for no reason. That's silly. You can't be that guy. I think to myself, you know what? Go ahead and put yourself on the straight and narrow. Don't be a guy who hates everything just to hate it. And then I watch the Grammys, and I have to see Snooki and the Situation from Jersey Shore on the red carpet being interviewed by E as if they were celebrities like anybody else. I watched that, folks, and I got to be honest, I realize this country needs my hate.
Did you know the 40-year-old boy has to buy woman's sandals because his feet are too small?
And so that's what I think we need to do as far as our sales force and our demographics. So I think we're all done here. You okay with this, Roy?
Yeah, I'm good.
Plantronics 9000, are you fine?
Yes. Yes.
Roy, could you reach over? Plantronics is stuck. He's got some kind of glitch. Hit the button.
Okay.
On the back. No, not that button. Oh, Jesus Christ. That's his ass raping button.
What does he even have an ass raping button?
Get out of here. Get out of here. Oh, my God. No, get off me.
Raping of Roy commencing.
This is The 40-Year-Old Boy on the Mike Schmidt Podcasting Network.
We need to go back to a simpler time, folks. We need to go back to when things were good, when things were pure, when things were when Pee Wee Herman roamed the land, folks. That's when we need to go back to. I bring that up because I saw Pee Wee Herman last week. Karen and I went to see the Pee Wee Herman show here in Los Angeles. No, what if we just? Yeah, we saw him. We were spying on him at his house. I needed some vintage erotica, so I stopped by to buy it. And there's nothing wrong. The man collects vintage erotica. Nothing wrong with that. He is a man, after all. Men like vintage erotica. I'll be honest. I don't care so much for the vintage part of it. I don't need to see. I don't need to see some woman who's with a fucking afro wig between her legs. Not interested in the vintage part, but I like a smooth ride. Is what I'm telling you, folks. All right, so what? God damn it! I can't believe I'm offending you again, folks. I don't know if you're groaning out there, but my audience of one has all of a sudden become very judgmental about this particular phrase. So we saw Pee Wee Herman, and I will tell you, we went to the Late Show. He's playing at the Club Nokia, which he made a point of pointing out was Club Nokia, not Nokia, because apparently he's been corrected enough on it to where he felt that he had to tell the audience that. And I don't want to talk too much about the show itself because Lily is actually going in a couple of days, so I don't want to give away anything. But what I will tell you is we went and saw the Pee Wee Herman show, and it was the Late Show. Now, there was a big controversy here because initially he was playing the Music Box Theater, which is a smaller theater here, but he was going to play a month-long run at the Music Box. But then, somehow, they realized the demand for tickets was going to be a lot crazier than they thought. So rather than just settle for selling out a month at the Music Box, they then moved it to Club Nokia, which is a much bigger venue. And I guess they figured there were more tickets to sell and more money to be made. So they went ahead and did that, and they shipped it, which is great in theory for Mr. Herman, Mr. Pee Wee Herman. But for his loyal audience and people who got in and bought tickets right away, it was not good because, I had a really good table. Like when I first bought my tickets at the Music Box, I was close, like super close with the table. And then it turned out that I don't know what the seating is like at Nokia, but they were like, all right, well, we had to call and you had to convert your tickets. It was a huge hassle for a while. And as we all know, nobody likes change. And so everybody immediately flocked to Facebook and made Pee Wee Herman is mean fan pages and he felt the need to reach out, and then there was a Twitter campaign. I don't again, because in 2009 and 10, nobody's taking anything laying down. They're rushing to social networking sites and making a big stink about it for an hour. And then they all get distracted by going to their Farmville and growing soybeans. Whatever the fuck they do. I don't know. All I know is it was a big deal for a while out here. But then it wound up being fixed. And the way they fixed it and the way Pee Wee Herman decided to reach out to the people who were inconvenienced, and I thought this was pretty cool of him, he pledged to meet everybody. He pledged to take the time to meet anyone who bought tickets for the Music Box. There was a way, I guess they were going to figure out a way to do it where he would have a meet and greet with the people who had bought the initial tickets to make up for them being inconvenienced. So I can tell you that when it came time for me to change my tickets, I was actually on the phone forever with Ticketmaster, and but it turned out great because I wound up in fourth row. I mean, so my cool table became and it was even better. Like, were we going together? Yeah, the four of us, Lily and Eddie and myself and Karen, were all going to go together. That's what I lost in the whole thing. We lost the four of us being able to go sit at a table and enjoy the show, which I'll be honest with you is a huge loss to me because, it's Pee Wee Herman, and I love Karen, but you want to see that with people. I mean, you want to have kind of a fun thing, and Lily loves Pee Wee Herman, and so we were really excited to go, but. So whatever. So I was hoping the meet and greet would be would work out fine because then I could pigeonhole or buttonhole Pee Wee and give him a piece of my mind. I could just take him aside, just picture from a distance. You just see me like shaking his hand and I'm talking. You see me kind of leaning in, and you just see his tie go and it spins because he's so upset that he's getting yelled at. It wasn't going to be like that. Are you kidding me? I love Pee Wee. I've loved Pee Wee since fucking old Letterman. When he first showed up, dude, I loved him since Cheech and Chong, since Hamburger Man. I mean, come on, he's the greatest. All right, so Karen and I go this weekend, and we are in the late show on Friday. There's 2 shows Friday. We go to the 10:15. There's a huge line outside. They make us wait, and in my mind, I go, well, I know this is because he's having the meet and greet for the people from the first show. Obviously, he's taking the time and whatever he's doing. And one of the reasons I went to the later show is because I wanted to make sure there was no time constriction on meeting him because I didn't know how many people there would be. I didn't know how much time you'd get to be with him. I didn't know how many photos you get to take. I have no idea. So we go in, we check in for the meet and greet. We finally get into the theater. And I will tell you, folks, we go to see Pee Wee at 10:15. And the big move from the music box to the Club Nokia, not as successful as I think the Pee Wee promoters thought it was going to be. Because for weeks now, in the LA Weekly, which is a local paper here, a free paper, they've been advertising Rush Pee Wee Herman tickets for $20, all available, $20 tickets for Pee Wee Herman. Oh, you can get them right now, Rush tickets. And there were actually television ads where they were like, call now to get your Pee Wee Herman tickets. And I mean, they were really kind of trying to move them because I think they made a miscalculation. And I can tell you for sure they did because when I showed up for the late show, this building is half empty. I mean, there's nobody in there. We walk in because there's a bunch of standing room in the back. There's like people along the wall, but there's no like 4 and 5 deep. I mean, it's thin. And Karen and I find our seats. I can tell you this, the music box would have had tables for us. Club Nokia, all they did was they set up banquet chairs in rows. I mean, it was certainly not comfortable. It was like, there was no... You were sitting right on top of everybody because all they did was they covered the dance floor with these loose chairs. Oh, it was just a shabby fucking operation. When I walked in, quite frankly, it looked like one of the late shows I do in Madison. I mean, it was just that same vibe of people drinking too much and they're a little drunk, and then there's empty seats, pockets of seats. And I looked at Karen and I go, boy, this was a mistake. I mean, they made a huge mistake by moving it here, and obviously they didn't sell enough tickets because then there's the balcony. I look up top, that's kind of patchy. So they let us in, and Karen needs to use the restroom. Right when Karen goes in the restroom, they announce the show's about to start, so everyone needs to take their seats. And I mean, I'm looking around going, there's nobody even in here. Like, I don't know where the people are. Maybe they're the merch booth, or they're all coming in one bus. I don't know what the fuck. But it looked grim. So finally Karen gets out. We find our seats. And right when we sit down, there's the third row in front of us, completely empty. There's nobody in the third row. But I will tell you, there's people on either side of us. So then we're like, well, should we move to the third row? And I don't want to play that fucking game because in the middle of Pee Wee, if the third row shows up, I don't want to have any fucking, people chasing me out. And then there's a fight. And then I yell the secret word and everybody goes bananas in the middle of the fight. So we sit there and we're waiting for the show to start. And completely nondescript, out of nowhere, Pee Wee Herman just walks out on stage. Place goes crazy. And he gives like a little, like a speech. I'm not saying anything. Uncover your ears. It's okay. I won't give details. I promise. He comes out, gives a speech, and thanks people for coming, disappears. Show starts. And as the show starts, I will tell you, people start to file in. So there's people kind of filling in seats. By the end of it, I would say that a third of the seats weren't sold. Weren't full of people, which is still, that's kind of a bad, that's a bad turnout. Quite frankly, it's Pee Wee Herman, for Christ's sake. But about 10 minutes into the show, 2 people sit in front of us. Now, they look young. I can tell you they look young because of their asymmetrical bedhead haircuts. And it's a boy and a girl. And I'm not exaggerating. It's a boy and a girl. They might be 21. They might be. So I don't know how the fuck they know Pee Wee. They might have known him, like, watched him growing up on the Playhouse. But I mean, the thing is, this show is a recreation of the HBO show and the show he did with the Groundlings way back in the 80s. So that's what I know him from. Like, I know him from all that. And so I knew some of the words and the lines, and it's changed a lot, but there is still some of the same stuff. So it was a really great experience and totally fun. I'm not giving it away. You don't have to cover your ears, I promise. I'm not giving it away. I won't say anything about the show. Am I saying too much already? I am, really. All I'm saying is that it was good.
I've rated every article. I have a stack of papers.
Okay. Well, all right. The show.
Okay.
I'm just saying the show was good. I promise. Anyway, these two people in front of us. There's a strict no filming, no pictures. There's a strict rule. They immediately start taking pictures. They pull out their cell phones. They're drunk. They're talking loudly. And I think I hear like an English accent, but I can't tell. All I know is the boy is dumb as fucking dirt. Who's that? Like, he has no reference point. He doesn't know who it is. But then, like, he's laughing like stupid open mouth laughing, like fucking Idiocracy. That kind of kill him. Fucking kill yourself. So they're annoying. On my left, like 3 seats down, there's two women dressed like they walked out of 1985. I mean, they've got a lot of Dayglow stuff on, and like, you know, kind of like frilly anklet socks, and they just look like Madonna wannabe type chicks. But you know what? One of them looked like Ellen Foley. You're not gonna have any idea who the fuck that is, but it looks like Ellen Foley. She's a singer from the 80s, and they also, anytime something happens, they're commenting loudly. Like, one of them literally just yelled 1981, like yelled it. So again. Remember how I said it was like one of my late shows in Madison? It's becoming even more like one of my late shows in Madison because the crowd is like heckling because they see Pee-wee and they want to love Pee-wee, but they don't know how to express it, so they're yelling drunkenly. Oh, and it's the late show, fucking horrible. So then these two people in front of us, like I said, they're drinking and they're taking photos. Security comes and tells them to stop taking photos. So they're like, all right. And security walks away. He's not gone 5 minutes taking more photos. I mean, just like fucking. And I want to get involved at that point. I want to just take her fucking phone and whip it and just throw it as far away as I fucking can. Because it's so disrespectful. You don't think the rules apply to you. You think you're the one fucking person who can get away with it. And then I noticed she's got like a pink VIP. Like, we all had, the meet and greet people had VIP wristbands. But she's got the pink backstage upstairs, meet everybody. So she's got to be somebody. I don't know who it is, but she's got to be somebody. So then they're joined by a third guy with bedhead. And he's carrying 4 drinks, like complete like rum and cokes or booze, and he hands them to them. Because that's what they need right now, is they need to get a little more tanked while Pee-wee's trying to entertain us on stage. So security keeps coming and warning them to fucking stop taking photos. And then as they're taking photos, now the girl next to Karen, she starts taking photos. Security comes and warns her. Then, unbelievably, Karen goes to take a goddamn photo. So I go, no, what are you doing? Like, don't be them. You're not them. You're not a fucking mouth-breathing idiot. Put your goddamn camera away. I mean, you know, and I don't say it that mean, but I just go, no, what? Because let's put it this way. These people have pink VIP wristbands. We don't. They're just going to hit us with a nightstick and drag us out in the goddamn alley. I mean, I don't know. We're not going to get any special treatment. Obviously, these people are somebody. So they start drinking more and yelling more. And I like, not yelling like rude, but just yelling because they think they're having fun. Oh, it was just terrible. Karen leans over to me and goes, hey, do you know who that is? That's Kelly Osbourne. I go, no, it isn't. Because she's like 4'11". She's really skinny, like pipe cleaner skinny. And she has blonde hair, like blonde, chopped, like there's no way it's Kelly Osbourne. And then she turns around and looks at us, and I still don't think it's Kelly Osbourne, even though it's dark. I can't tell if it's her face. I don't know if it's Kelly Osbourne, but I can tell you this: the kid with her is a young Ozzy in training, because you can't understand a fucking word he says. I wanted to murder him. So they're old. You know, it makes sense that if it's Kelly Osbourne, that this guy had to get them drinks, because I don't think she's 21 yet, is she? I don't even know. I don't know how old she is. If it's her, I can't tell. It's dark, and I pride myself in not being able to pick Kelly Osbourne out of a fucking lineup. I knew what fat Kelly Osbourne used to look like, but now I don't know if she's become this new thing. Then that's good for her. But I will tell you this: as bad as fake Ozzy was, as bad as Mouthy Kelly was. New guy, fucking drink Sherpa, worse than the two of them combined. He's got crazy bedhead, and he's like an older guy. And I'm going to make you cover your ears because I have to say something now that's relevant to the show, and I don't want you to hear it. Okay. So. Okay, she's covered up. There's a Pee Wee shows a movie called Mr. Bungle, and in the Mr. Bungle show, there's all these kids who have like crew cuts, and when there's the kids with the crew cuts, it's funny. The movie's funny on its own because it's a ridiculous 50s parody, or not even a 50s parody. It's an actual 50s show about manners. But these people, they're yelling at it like they're trying to make it funnier, and this guy yells, "Oh, look at those fucking skinheads." He actually yells, "Look at those fucking skinheads," and then the two drunk chicks next to me fucking laugh, and one of them gets up and high fives that guy. Like, they cross over in front of me to high five the guy. And dudes, again, I'm trying to be a new guy. I'm trying to go ahead and make sure that everybody gets to enjoy the things they want to enjoy. But Jesus Christ, when you're infringing on my enjoyment of something that I've loved for so goddamn long, shouldn't I just stand up and fucking clothesline everybody? Shouldn't I be the guy who just fucking takes everybody out? Okay, you can uncover your ears now. All right.
Did you just throw something at me?
No, I hit the bed to make sure, because I don't want to, no, I made it, I like tap to make sure you're okay. So that happened. So I was infuriated. I couldn't really understand it. So I'm sitting there, but I'm still trying to enjoy what's happening, and I did. I absolutely enjoyed it. I got into it. I loved the show, despite the fact all this chaos was going on around me. And Karen loved it too. We had a really good time. Show ends, and then sure enough, lights come up. She turns around. It's Kelly Osbourne. And I should tell you, when Karen said it was Kelly Osbourne, I said, no, it's not. She goes, it is. It's Kelly Osbourne. I go, no. She goes, I'll bet you $100. I shook on it immediately. Kelly Osbourne stands up, turns around, and her and her fucking drunken idiot friends go upstairs to go meet Pee Wee. Because she even says, she goes, all right, let's go meet Pee Wee. Let's go meet him. We got to go fast. So they get up, and I'm like, you're not doing anything fast. The three of you have combined right now, you have more bed spins than my entire high school senior class had in 1984. I can't even imagine how you can walk straight. Jesus Christ. Your blood alcohol level is yes. So I'm with Karen sitting there, and they told us for the meet and greet we had to just stay in our seats and wait for Pee Wee to show up. So we sat there waiting, and all it turned out there was probably about I would say 60 people who were going to meet him, which is pretty cool. So we're all just waiting, and they're playing music, and after about a half hour, I would say, of just waiting, Pee Wee comes out on stage for the meet and greet, and it was great. He addressed us, first of all. I will tell you, the meet and greet is done as Paul Rubens. He is in the Pee Wee outfit, but he's not like, you know what I mean? He's not doing any of that stuff. But he is, what the hell was that? Sounds like someone strangling Pee Wee. Nobody was murdering Pee Wee during our meet and greet. But he came out, and he was basically Paul Rubens, even though he was in full costume and character. And he goes ahead and he gave a little a statement first. He said some things, and then he decided to take questions. Which I will be truly honest with you, questions are a bad idea. At any Q&A, any celebrity, believe me, less Q, more A. If you just want to walk around and talk and say things, because here's the thing, nobody has a good Q. Nobody brings a good Q, because people are so excited to be meeting their childhood guy that they want to go ahead and make it about themselves. They want to make sure that he knows everything that they feel for him. And, you've still got 59 other fucking people sitting here. We don't want to see your goddamn confessional. Sure enough, some guy in the front, a woman raises her hand and she's like, I just want to tell you that you made this guy an artist. You influenced this guy right here. And Pee Wee, he takes the microphone and he goes, is he a mute? And she goes, he's way too shy. He's never going to say anything to you. I just wanted to make sure that I told you for him. And, which is indulgent and selfish. But then just when I think you can't top that indulgence and selfishness, the guy himself goes, I can speak. I can talk for myself. Takes the microphone and goes, because here's the thing. All right, I'm just going to say what he said. I just want to make sure, that you realize, everything that you mean to everybody. I'm an artist because of you, and it's because of you that I do the things, that I do. And I know everybody here, if they had the chance, probably feels the same way. Guess what? We do. And if we have the chance, did you just say that? Really? Did you just say if we had the chance? We probably would have the chance if you would shut the fuck up. Please, don't elect yourself our king. We all have wristbands. I'm sure he's going to talk to all of us if we want to speak to him. We don't need you to elect yourself our leader and tell him what he meant to us growing up. Certainly what he meant to you is fine. Another girl raises her hand, and she's like, I just wanted to tell you, I was riding my bike, and this is a totally true story. I tried to do, like, put my feet up on the handlebars like you did when I was in the park, and I totally crashed and I fell, but it doesn't matter. It was so worth it. Oh, my God. Really? You felt that was something? This is your chance to talk to Pee Wee Herman, and that's what you brought to the table. And he was just like, oh, well, okay, well, he goes, if you didn't hit your head then, what did he say? It's something nice, like if you didn't hit your head, I'm sure you realize now that wasn't the thing. He was very nice and genuine. So all these people are asking him all these like really self-indulgent bullshit questions. Oh, and by the way, I should tell you, no pictures with Pee Wee. Pee Wee walks around and you can take photos of Pee Wee, but he's not going to pose with you for any pictures. He won't sign any autographs, obviously, because fucking 60, as I just told you, these fucking numbskulls would be like, dude, do me a favor, like, can you write to Mike and then put, the year on it? Fuck, nobody wants any of that. So, I raised my hand because I have a question for him. I should tell you, he brought his manager on stage at the end of the show. And he said, this show doesn't exist if it's not for her. Because a year ago tonight, I was dropped by my agency. And I had a lunch with this woman who was my publicist. And I said, I don't know what I'm going to do. And then I asked her if she would manage me. And she said, well, let me think about it. And then the next day she came to me and said yes. And I laughed out loud when he was telling this heartfelt anecdote because it made me laugh. And he goes, I asked her to manage me. She said, let me think about it. Oh, really? Is that what you have to do? You have to take a night to determine whether or not you want to manage Paul Rubens, you dick? It just seemed like such a weird, incongruous thing. But instead, so he tells this anecdote about how then they decided what they were going to do. So I raise my hand, and Pee Wee Herman comes over, and he goes, hey, you have a question? And I go, yeah. You mentioned at the end of the show that you were dropped by your agency, and then you had a lunch with this woman who was your publicist, who then became your manager. Was being dropped by your agency the impetus for you bringing back Pee Wee Herman? Because you always said you never would. I mean, it was always something that you kind of never really alluded to. You became Paul Rubens. But now you're back as Pee Wee after being dropped by your agency. I'm wondering if it was something you always knew you had in your pocket to bring back at some point when things looked like you needed to bring them back. And there's like 8 people around me, and they all nod, and they go, that's a really good question. Like, that's a good question. And Pee Wee Herman he's like 2 feet from me, and he looks at me with a face like he did not expect that question. All right, let's be honest. He's expecting people to go, oh, and another thing, you're not going to believe this. I was, I mean, that's because that's what people are doing. They're all just fucking idiots. That woman, I should tell you, the woman with the bike raised her hand again and because again, I guess she realized that she blew her chance. He called on her and she goes, I just want to tell you that I'm a comedian. I'm new to the game. And when you write, I just want to know when you write, is it right, like writing like a comedian? And then another thing, I go and stay, she just started rambling. So I asked him this coaching question that basically is, I was being genuinely curious, but it boils down to, hey, is this your Hail Mary pass? Like, is this reincarnation of Pee Wee Herman your last resort as a 57-year-old man who couldn't get hired anymore in this town? I mean, it's a pretty brutal question when you think about it. I tried to phrase it in a nice way, but I was genuinely curious because he made it sound like he never would have done the show if he hadn't been dropped by his agent. So he looks at me and he just goes, well, I've never stopped working. If you go to my IMDb page, you'll see that I've always been working, and I've had 2 scripts that have always been in development. It's just a matter of getting them to move forward. Okay, and he walks away, and that doesn't deal with any of the question. It doesn't deal with, and the guy next to me just goes, I think you stumped him. And he walks away, and I look at Karen, and I go, did he even answer my question? And Karen's just like, I don't think so. And quite frankly, but it was the worst answer ever. He's like, because he just tap danced through it. He's like, I've always been working. Well, I know you've always been working. I'm just asking about bringing back Pee Wee. I never questioned the fact that Paul Rubens had a career, but now all of a sudden I want to get into this debate with him. But he's already off talking to somebody else about, Sucker Man and Globy. I mean, it's like he wants nothing to do with my real world based question. And frankly, at that point, instead of giving me your bullshit IMDb answer and walking off, I wish he would have just looked at me and said, I know you are, but what am I? That would have been something I could have respected. At least bust that out on me. Don't fucking tap dance me and try to steer me in the other direction. Seriously, just look at me and go, why don't you take a picture? It'll last longer, and then walk off. Because then I got a story. Instead of 57-year-old Paul Rubens being brought face to face with his career failures and ducking me out. I didn't mean it. I swear to God, I was just asking a question because I think that's a genuinely interesting question. Everybody else is asking, how many suits do you have, Pee-wee suits? And everybody wants to know, when you met Tim Burton, how did it go? Everybody's got those bullshit questions because, again, this is their chance to meet him. But I was genuinely... everybody asks questions that if you have Google, you can find the answer to in 5 seconds. If you read the Entertainment Weekly article on Pee-wee 3 weeks ago, you have every answer to every question that was asked, except for the one that I asked. Were you afraid that you were becoming irrelevant, and so you decided to dredge up your past and try to make a quick buck off of it? And it certainly sounds mean when you put it that way, but when I said it, I couched it in a nice way, I thought. But I would have much preferred him to just look at me and just go, I know you are, but what am I? Would have made my day.
Ladies and gentlemen, with a phrase from the past of the 40-year-old boy, Mr. Tony Bennett.
I'm gonna eat pie out of your skull, you fuck.
Hey, yo, this is Chewy from the Velvet Road Podcast. When I'm not staring at your tits deciding whether or not you can get in the club or not, I listen to the 40-year-old boy on the Mike Schmidt Podcasting Network. Fucking tits.
I should mention that you guys can go to Kelly Osbourne's Twitter page. Because when I got home, just to make sure I'd lost $100, I Googled Kelly Osbourne, and it was her. She's this little pint-sized blonde now. And if you go to her Twitter page, she twittered one of the pictures of Pee-wee that she took on stage. I can only imagine like every other picture had a thumb in front of it because she was so fucking loaded. But she twittered one picture, and then she twittered a picture of her backstage with Pee-wee, along with the little boy that she was with, and Bedhead Johnson. So I mean, like they're all back there, and you'll see them in their douchebag haircuts. And it turns out that the boy she was with, that I said, who was like laughing with his mouth open and was a fucking idiot, that guy's 20, and he's her fiance, some guy named Luke. Why aren't the Osbournes dead? Why? Sharon's going to be on The Apprentice. It's just like, I talked about it last year. I can't talk about it again. But yeah, don't go to a Q&A, folks. That's my point. Any celebrity Q&A you don't want to go to. I've been to them. I've been on with Tarantino. I've been, Brad Pitt. I've been there. And they're never good because it goes one of two ways, all right? There's always, like I said, there's the one, like Pee-wee is this iconic figure in people's lives, so they always ask him these ridiculous questions that they've always wanted to ask since they're, when they were a kid. Hey, I have a question. Is somebody in Cherry? Oh, kill yourself. Didn't you see the fucking bow at the end? Somebody's in Cherry. People are dumb. So, what do you mean? You don't know that you've seen Cherry on the television show?
Yes, but Pee-wee said that so much stuff has changed technologically, so I didn't know if it was going to be a robot this time or if it was going to be. So seriously, I've avoided everything.
Okay,
Right.
no, I'm sorry. I didn't think I was giving away a secret because on the show itself. Do you think James Cameron produced this show? I mean, seriously, do you think they've come up with some robot chair that?
No, but when the show was first announced and they were talking about it, they were talking about the fact that when it was going to be in the music box, he realized that he really, even though technology has caught up to his mindsight for it, that economically a lot of it still wasn't feasible too. So I figured moving it to the larger thing, he had talked about how it increased the budget to be able to do some of the things he wanted. So I didn't know. I thought maybe there was a
Are you folks getting all this?
Cherry.
All right. So, but that's so my point is, I'm not shut up. I don't want to give things away. I want you to enjoy it and see it for what it is. That's why I've stopped.
I'm still as excited, if not
good. But I'm saying when people have the Q&A with an iconic figure like that, they always ask these ridiculous questions they've held on to since they were 9. But or it can go the other way in Hollywood. If you go see a Q&A with a celebrity at like a movie screening or something, inevitably it's this army of unworking actors who have some question about the lens used in the 45 minutes that they used to film outside. I'm just everyone has some bizarre technical question about acting, or they have to preface it by saying it's like, have you ever watched that Inside the Actor Studio? You ever see that show? And it's like those kids at least understand that they're still students, even though they try to come at it with because they don't want to look stupid to Brad Pitt or whoever. They want to ask a question and seem like they're okay, but out here, everybody's like, once I was working with Sir John Gielgud, and dude, you're 11. You're not working with Sir John Gielgud. Why are you making up a lie? Sit down. Everybody tries to sound more important than they are. Case in point, we went to Karen and I went and saw a movie called 44-Inch Chest. And by the way, Lily just held up a sign that said we're at an hour. Folks, we're going to have to alert the affiliates. We're going long this week because what the bulk of the show was supposed to be about has now nestled nicely into the third act, and I don't know how the fuck long it's going to be. So, because I got rampaging about Grammys and about I want to be a better person. All right, so, but this has something to do with that, quite frankly, because I will tell you that I went to a movie with Karen. I went to a movie called 44-Inch Chest, which is certainly a great movie for. It sounds like Karen's in it, quite frankly, but she's not. But it's a movie written by the guys who made Sexy Beast. You ever see Sexy Beast? It's a fucking awesome movie, and it's like a gangster type of film. Well, 44-Inch Chest, the trailer looked amazing, and it stars Ray Winston, or it might be pronounced Winstone, I don't know, but Ray Winston's in it, and Ian McShane is in it. John Hurt is in it. Tom Wilkins in it. A ton of British actors doing cool British gangster type stuff. And I'm like, dude, I'm fucking in. Absolutely, I'm in. So it was playing at the New Art here, so it was only playing at one theater. So I convinced Karen to go. I go online and I try to find show times. So I noticed that the day that we're going to go at 7:00, the movie's going to show, and there's a Q&A with Ian McShane, who's an actor from the film. And as I've mentioned, and he's also, if you don't know who Ian McShane is, he's a genius. All right. You may know him best. He's in Sexy Beast. He's in this, but you know him best. He was Al Swearingen in Deadwood on HBO. And, basically, along with Tony Soprano, two of the best television characters on HBO in the past 10 years, and Larry David. I mean, just fantastic character. So Ian McShane's going to be there for a Q&A after the showing at 7:00. So I immediately buy tickets for the 5:00. Because I do not want to be in the building when every fuckwit in the world wants to ask Al Swearingen questions about Deadwood instead about what we saw on the screen. Or I go the other route when they ask him, well, I noticed when you stood with your feet akimbo in that scene about 38 minutes in that your jacket had sort of a bite. Shut the fuck up. Oh, my God. So I didn't want to be there for the Ian McShane Q&A. And good for me, because I will tell you, we went to the 5:00. We went in and watched the movie. Yeah, good movie. I will tell you, the trailer certainly makes it look like something different than what it is. But I'll get to that in a second. But when we left, Karen and I walk out. There's already a line outside of people who are about to go in. And sure enough, there's a guy. He's got a full cardboard stand-up of Al Swearingen. So I'm assuming he wants to get an autograph. Unless he's going to stand behind it and try to have a Al Swearingen battle with Ian McShane. I have no idea. Because, again, in this town, I have no idea. The guy might, he might cut a little hole in the mouth and stick his tongue through and be like, I don't know. The people are crazy. They're crazy in this town. And also, inevitably, because he's Al Swearingen and he swears a lot, I picture him sitting there, but, 9 people standing up and going, do me a favor, can you call me a motherfucker? That'll be hilarious. It'll be awesome. I'll put it on my cell phone and it'll be great. And I picture just McShane going, you know what? I will call you a motherfucker, not because you asked, but just because you fucking deserve it, quite frankly, because these people are crazy. So we leave, but we see the movie, and the movie itself is Ray Winston is a guy whose wife cheats on him, and then tells him, because that's what you want to do, folks, by all means, the second you cheat on your significant other, share that information with them, because it is going to work wonders for them. And he surprisingly does not take it well. And then things happen. He calls his friends, and they decide they're going to do something. Stuff happens. There's a couple of great scenes in the movie, though, because, again, like I mentioned, he's a husband who's been cuckolded. All right, he's a guy whose wife has cheated on him, and he doesn't know how to deal with it. So he finds himself at one point in the room alone with the guy who banged his wife, and he gives this speech about what it means to be married, and it is just devastating. I mean, it is fucking spot on. It is so great because you feel for him, because he basically says, I have to kill you because, you know, you've killed me. That's what you've done. And I won't go into it and go crazy, but it's as close as I've ever seen someone really capture what it feels like. You know, basically it's stuff you've always heard, you know, where it's like, hey, look, dude, you were there in bed with her for that good stuff, but you weren't there when she was sick. You weren't there when this happened. You weren't there when our kids were born. I mean, just this amazingly devastating monologue. Oh man, is it brutal. So that's a great scene. But another great scene is in the beginning of the movie. You know, Tom Wilkinson gets a phone call. He goes over to Winston's house, and the camera shot is so perfect. It's just Winston's face. He's on the ground, and you hear the opening piano notes of a song called Without You by Harry Nilsson. And it's, you know, the I can't live if living is without you. It's that song. So it's playing, and then the camera pulls up, and as you see, he's laying in this devastated room. Everything's destroyed. Mirrors, fucking drawers are overturned. Things are smashed. Glasses all over the place. The breeze is blowing in through the window, and he's just laying there. And Tom Wilkinson is trying to talk to him. The song ends. He just hits stop, starts it over. Bing, bing, bing. No, I can't forget the feeling. I mean, just... And I related to it because... I can tell you that my wife left me in 2004, spring of 2004. And again, I can tell you I did not take it well. Because there is nothing that can cushion that blow, because you don't see it coming. Like, I mean, if we were in some weird loveless marriage and you know, we both knew we were going through the motions and we both knew that it was ending, that would be fine. But when one person feels that way, oh man, is that devastating for the other person, because the other person is just blissfully going through life like, hey, well, I guess things will work out, right? This is okay, but we're fine. Everything's fine. Yeah, everything's fine, right? No, nothing is fine. And my wife told me that she was leaving, and it took a second for it to register, like this weird, because in my relationship with my wife, because we'd been together 11 years at that point, married for 7, and I was always able to talk my way out of everything. I mean, that was the thing. It's like I was able to dance just fast enough to keep her occupied so she couldn't think about taking off. She was like, you know what, I got to stick around because I got to see how this comes out. And my wife was always fascinated with what was going to happen with me, and that kept me very happy. I was like, all right, good. She was with me, and she loved me, and I think she wanted to just see how the book was going to turn out. You know what I mean? I always had that vibe. So when she told me that she was done reading, I didn't know how to react, man, and it was devastating. I'm not going to lie to you, because I mean, it was, you know, you do that whole thing where you're like, no, this isn't real. Oh, come on, you got to stay, and then you're on your knees crying and saying, you can't do this. I mean, you have to reconsider. We can fix this. We didn't even go to counseling or anything. You went from 0 to 100 in a second, but not knowing that she didn't. It had been building up for her. Like, again, to me, I just hear, hey, are we going to dinner? By the way, I'm leaving you. You know what I mean? I just think it was a rash and impulsive and impetuous decision, and by all means, I've got everything I can do to talk her out of it, because I've always done that up to this point, not knowing that for her, you know, there's been nothing but constant garbage heaped on the scale, and it's all tipped in the favor of her taking off, man. And look, you guys have heard me. You heard that I'm fucking bananas. We all know that. So imagine having to live with it, and then live with bananas, but no success. I mean, you know, I was turning into a bitter, angry person, and I mean, I've got that in me, and I still am to a certain extent, but I'm trying not to be, dude. I try to fucking throttle down. That's what I was alluding to earlier, man. It's like, especially all this medical stuff made me, you know, do a double take. Who cares? So anyway, in 2004, she told me she was leaving, and I couldn't believe it. I was like, there's no way. You can't really be leaving. But then over the next week and a half, as she was packing and getting ready to go, and you just, I mean, you don't know how to process it. So she decided, she's like, you know what, I'm just going to leave and I'm going to go home. She went back to Chicago for 2 weeks. And then when she came back, she was going to get her stuff and get her new apartment and move out. So the day that she walked out and left, it was really early in the morning because she was flying, and she left, and I'm standing in the house, and I didn't know. I'm just crying and losing my mind and freaking out, and so I fucking went crazy and just started smashing shit in my house. Like, I mean, I didn't know what else to do, so I just started fucking sweeping. Like, you know, you know what? I don't think I even knew how to react. I reacted the way I thought a movie person would react. Like, I didn't. Because I didn't know what to do. I was numb. I was hurt, and she was gone, and there was no getting around it. And so I just started like smashing shit, and which is not good. That never helps, folks. But I stopped very quickly. Because I didn't smash anything of consequence. When I say smashing shit, I mean like cups. You know what I mean? And I swept her desk, like I knocked things on the ground, but I didn't break anything of consequence because I also am just lazy enough to realize, hey, I'll have to clean this up. So I didn't unleash my full fury on the apartment. I was like, all right, you gotta scale it back. So that only lasted like for like a minute. And then I'm like, well, what the fuck am I going to do? So then I'm just sitting there trying to process it. She's gone. I'm trying to deal with it. And, it's too early in the morning now for me to bother all my friends. I mean, I can't call them just yet. They know it's happening, but now that she's going to be gone, she's going to be gone. But the weirdest thing was one of her friends called from Chicago. And, like out of the blue, like I hadn't heard from, this girl hadn't talked to Karen. And I lost my mind. I started crying on the phone to her. So then she sees an opportunity to tell me about Jesus. And and that goes spectacularly well. Look, I know they're trying to help, and that was wonderful. That's fine. They give me these books about divorce and all these different things, and quite frankly, I don't know how they had them so handy, but they had them. So she gives me all these titles of things that I should get. And now, so after that, I hang up with her, and I'm gonna call my friends and family. I don't know what to do, and then I have a ton of decisions to make here because. My wife was working. I was, I'm an actor, quote unquote. I had written at Funny Money, but I wasn't doing anything at this point. So now I got to get a fucking job. I mean, I got to get my life together. Not just the fact that she's gone, but I now have to get whatever I have built back up into a position where I can survive. So I figure I have to go ahead and get a gig. And then I just go, well, you can't get a job yet. I mean, she's going to come back. Like all those weird conflicting things in your brain where you don't know what's going to happen. So I sit there and I wind up, I call my friends. I do that first day is just like a numb cocoon of talking to people on the phone. And I don't go out. I don't do anything. And the day ends and it's then that echo chamber thing happens. I told you, like when it's in the middle of the night and you're like, hey, what's this lump in my throat? You know what I mean? Then you're sitting there thinking, man, what am I going to do with my life? What have I done with my life? Because I never thought about how it made me feel when my wife left. I didn't sit there and go, oh, you know what? This is horrible for me. I always looked at it for her. I always was like, this is terrible for her. The only thing that really bothered me was that I had let her down, and I had put her in a position where she had to make that decision and leave. And I recognize completely, like I said, it was my fault. I mean, granted, whatever, there's issues back and forth, whoever the fuck cares. But the bottom line is, it was crushing to me that I had let my wife down and that she was going to split and there was nothing I could do about it. And even more so than that, it was, my wife used to look at me with amazement almost. You guys know when you date somebody or you're in love with somebody, whoever you're with looks at you and they look at you with awe, almost like they can't believe they're lucky enough to have you with them. And my wife always looked at me like that. My wife always had that kind of, I don't want to say reverence. It was just, my wife is just a good person, but she always looked at me in a way that made me feel like we were both really lucky to be there at that moment. And she had stopped looking at me like that. And the fact that it was my fault that I had made her stop looking at me like that was just brutal. So that was what hurt me more than anything, was that I had caused her to stop thinking of me the way she always had. So late at night I'm there and I don't know what the fuck to do with myself. So I decide there's only, you guys know me, and I think we all know that two things about me. I love music. And I am fucking crazy obsessive. So what I decide to do is I go, you know what? She's gone, but I'm going to do whatever I can to make her here. I'm going to go through all my music. I mean, and at the time, I had like 500 CDs. I had, my iTunes is jammed. I have 18,000 songs. Now I probably had like 11,000 then. Who fucking knows? I don't know. But I decided that I was going to do everything I could to recreate my wife in music form. So even if she wasn't there, I would be able to hear her in everything that I listened to. So I sat down and I dove headfirst into my iTunes. And I'm talking obsessive. I'm talking listening to every song, clicking and going, well, what happened when I heard this? Was she involved? Anything at all? Like, I was the guy in Memento. That's who I was. I was Guy Pearce in Memento, but with music, and I was going to do everything I could to assemble like a Frankenstein Karen out of my fucking past. So I sat there, and all night, I just started going through songs, and like I'm scrawling lyrics, I'm writing things down, I'm starting to build playlists, and I'm moving music around. And that doesn't work. This doesn't go. This goes here. This doesn't go there. I have no idea. So that continues all night, and I actually slept on my desk. Like I put my head down on my desk on purpose, because I thought it made me look important. Like I thought it gave validation to what I was doing. Like I was so obsessive. Look at me. I'm even sleeping at my desk. Because folks, I don't know how to act. I'm a phony. I'm a goddamn phony. Certainly I was at the time. I don't know if I'm so much of a phony anymore as much as just a jagoff. But back then I didn't know how to. I mean, I was emotional. I had two emotions, folks. I had fucking rage and rage. That's what I had. Which is why my fucking wife took a powder. So, I was just this bitter fuck who was angry at everything. And granted, I'm that guy now, except I can kind of make it funny. So, I don't know. I guess you'll be the judge of that, fucking 4 hours into this goddamn podcast. So I made myself sleep at the desk. Like I put my head down on purpose, thinking that I was like a scientist who was onto something. What an idiot. Folks, you're just dumb when you do shit like that. All right, so. Suffice it to say, the whole next day, again, I'm going through the songs, I'm building, and I don't go out. Like, I don't go out, I don't answer the phone, I don't do anything. I would assume that my family starts to wonder about me, because once I finally talked to them 5 days later, they went ahead and expressed that fact. But I'm not kidding you, for 5 days. I sat in my house. I ate whatever was in my house. And that was a big trick for me because, again, this is 500-pound crazy fat Mike. You would have thought that I would have immediately dove into like 900 pizzas. I think the only time I left my house was I went to El Torito to sob in public while Jimmy Pardo listened to me. I mean, literally, that's the only thing I think that happened in the first 5 days. And I spent that whole time making music and building everything that I could, to where I finally wound up at the end of, like I said, a week. I had 15 CDs of music. It turned out to be, I think it was 170 songs, and I made 15 CDs, and that was the oral, AURAL, representation of everything that I had done with my wife up to that point. I made it into 15 CDs, and they were playing at all times. I brought 6, because I had a 6 CD changer in my car, and I would just load 6 of them in the car, and whenever I would drive, I would cry. That's all I would do. I would listen to music and cry, thinking about my wife. And in my house, same thing. I'm in the shower, there's music playing, I'm crying. I mean, it was like, I cried an ocean the first fucking week and a half. And then it dawned on me that I probably should get a job, because my wife had not called me to tell me that she was coming back. Shockingly, as I sat there with my head down on my desk, sleeping like Einstein in a pool of tears, obsessing over songs by fucking Prince. All right. So I decide I got to get a job. So I go on, like, first I bother all of my industry friend type people to see if they can get me a gig. And, it's hard. You can't just get a guy a job. They can put a word in for me, and that was very nice of them. But I need immediate cash. So I go on Craigslist, which is a great place to find a job. And I immediately scour the writing section. And you can't see me giving the quotation marks, but I did. Because all the writing sections, it's like all websites that want you to write for free. And you know what's funny? Nothing's changed. This is 2004. Now it's 2010. I go to Craigslist. Same goddamn thing. Nobody's paying any money. They all want to offer exposure. I think that's the greatest thing in the world. I'm from Chicago. In the Midwest, people die from exposure. Out here, it's currency. So I immediately, after that fruitless search, because I need fucking money. I mean, we're coming up in the end of the month. This is the spring of 2004. She's gone. I don't know what the fuck to do. So I start looking for other jobs, like as a bouncer. And I don't want to go back to being a bouncer because I don't want to get punched again, even though literally that's all I feel like doing is punching and sobbing. And it also dawns on me that I probably can't get a job where I'm dealing with the public very much because I can't stop crying. Like I'm just this weird hair trigger walking puddle with hair. I mean, I'm just ready to fucking lose it at any moment. So I start looking for, customer service jobs, any serial killer job that I could get easily. Because again, I haven't been in the workforce in fucking 10 years because I've been doing stand up and it's, things have been going okay. But now I got nothing and I got no experience. Go walk in and try to tell a guy, hey, I can do this job. Well, you haven't worked anywhere in 10 years. Well, I've been my own boss, but I'm sure I can adapt to your office. No, you can't. So I wind up, I settle on a job. I look at it's like, hey, gas money and money, cash every week for being a courier in Hollywood, which has a couple of different bonuses. Like I said, it's got gas money and it's got cash, so I'm all over that. But it means I'll be alone, which I see as a bonus because I can't stop crying, but quite frankly, probably isn't a bonus because I can't stop crying. I should probably have somebody there to go, dude, snap out of it. I should be around people, but I can't. I've just withdrawn completely into myself. So I figure I'm in the car, so that's fine because I can't stop crying. And also, I can bring Karen with me. I can bring my audio Karen, and I can bring her wherever, which is great. Except for the fact that, when you're trying to find an address, it's really hard to do through tears as you listen to Peter Gabriel sing at you. So I'm driving, I take the courier job. So I call them and, it's one of those shady things where, there's no interview. Like they just hire me immediately over the phone. All they do is they take my name and address and they tell me they'll send me a check. And then I have to go in, to an office in Santa Monica and fill out one form. And then I have the job. So I go and I do it. And, basically what I'm doing is I'm delivering stuff in Hollywood. And, I will tell look, I have a few stories that I could tell you. Are we how long? Where are we?
You don't want to know.
You tell me.
Hour 20.
We're at an hour 20. All right. I'm going to have to get to my adventures as a courier later. I will tell you that I was delivering that, they said it was mainly going to be in Hollywood. I would find myself in El Segundo sometimes. They would send me all over the fucking place. And I will tell you this, one of the greatest things I found, I was in El Segundo and I was driving, I had to go off to deliver a guy. I'll tell you this story because this is relevant. I took the 405. It was a guy who lived near Manhattan Beach. So I had to go, the 405, I had to go up. There's like this really cool beach. And I had never seen, because when you go to the beach, you usually just go to Santa Monica or Venice, and then that's that. But I wound up near Manhattan Beach, and there's this really awesome section of beach. I forget what it's called, but it's right off of like Vista Del Mar, where if you are on the beach, planes for LAX fly over you to go over the ocean and fly. So you can be on the beach and it's like literally you're sitting there and you look up and a plane goes over your head. It was unbelievably beautiful. So I saw that and I'm like, wow, I should stop down there. But first I got to go deliver this. So I go upstairs to deliver to a guy in his rich house and I knock and he opens the door and he's got a robe and swim trunks on. And he's like, hey, what's going on? Blonde guy. And I'm like, nothing. I've got a delivery for you. He goes, okay, no problem. He goes, come on in. So he goes, I got to get a thing out of the back. So he walks into the back room. I come in and I'm holding, it was just like a manila envelope with I don't know, scripts, papers, who the fuck knows? I don't open it up. I don't look. I just want a signature so I can go back to crying. So this guy, like I said, robe, swim trunks, he goes in the back. He goes, all right, I'll be out in a minute. And he comes walking out. And I mentioned robe, swim trunks. Robe, no more swim trunks. Guy comes out with his cock out. He went in the back to get something. What he went to get was his cock because he dropped trow and just came out robe wide open. Not even an issue. And he's about half there. He's at half mast, which I guess is like to indicate my interest. Am I supposed to make a move here? I don't know. And I got to tell you, you got to be one desperate motherfucker to hit on a fat crying guy. I don't know what this guy thought. There's no way I could have been attractive in the least to this guy. He just figured whoever was coming was going to get an eyeful. And if they wanted to go ahead and take it to that next level, then by all means, go ahead. And, I can't, seriously, I was sad and I was desperate. And it's funny, there's a song by Simon & Garfunkel where he even says, just to come on from the whores on 7th Avenue, I must admit I found some comfort there. Well, you know what? A come on from the guy in the robe with no swim trunks. Look, I needed some comfort. I didn't need comfort that bad. Okay, I'm sure I needed some human contact, and I needed somebody to empathize with me, and I needed someone to be emotional with me. But I'm sorry. I just, if there's a cock in the equation, I got to sidestep it. And that's exactly what I got to do is sidestep it, because this guy comes at me like a goddamn bullfighter, and I'm like, oh, Toro. But it was just amazing to me. Like I said, he's got swim trunks robe, goes in the back, comes out with half a heart on and no swim trunks. Hey, I'll sign for that now. Well, I see you brought your own pen. I mean, dude. So I don't know what to fucking do. But I think he just wanted someone to see it. Like, it was that weirdness. Oh, Christ. Because I'll tell you this, a few weeks ago, I found a whole subset of porn of guys who jerk off in hotel rooms and wait for the maid to come in, and they film it. Like, guys who set up a camera of themselves jerking off in the housekeeping, and the woman walks in, and then she goes, oh, sorry, and she leaves. And then the guy, stops it. A listener, thank you, by the way, emailed me and sent me a clip. He's like, hey, go here. It's like a web address, and it's a whole subset of these guys who jerk off in hotel rooms and film it waiting for the maid to come in. And then they post it online. Good Lord, what's wrong with America? What is wrong? But quite frankly, it happened to me. I fucking walk in to deliver a package. The guy drops trowel, whatever. So, but I can tell you what it made me do is it made me, A, get out of there really quickly, and B, truly appreciate that beach down there, because I stopped and I just got out of my car and I'm sitting there, I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing with yourself? And planes going overhead, but then that's not even good, because then I'm thinking of her leaving and on a jet plane, whatever the fuck. I mean, as overwhelmingly beautiful as it was, it also made me overwhelmingly sad, which was not hard to do at that point in time. Oh Jesus. Again, folks, I hope you're not burning these CDs. And again, I'm exasperating it by talking now. All right, so. So this goes on for like a week. I'm a courier, and I asked them when I'm going to get paid. They're like, oh, we'll mail you your paycheck. It comes next week. So I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm a zombie. I don't fucking care at this point. I just need money desperately. End of the month is approaching. I need cash. And on Friday, I'm supposed to be, I make a final delivery, and I make my delivery in Hollywood, and I'm ready to go home. It's 7 o'clock at night. They call me and they go, hey, we have a rush delivery. And I go, dude, because again, I had they have a cell phone. They gave me like a company walkie-talkie, whatever the fuck. And I go, dude, it's 7 o'clock. I'm right by my house. I'm going home. They go, it's a rush delivery, please. We need you to do it. Our other guy is stuck in traffic. Because I will tell you, being a courier sucked. I mean, you were in traffic all the time. You're in the car. And again, I'm in the car, and I liked it because I was away and I was able to cry and be sad. I told you this. I would sit there and I would listen to like Save Me by Queen and I'm Going to Be Strong by Cyndi Lauper. I mean, there's all these songs that I would listen to, and I would just be so fucking sad. So I didn't mind it because it was able to let me tool around in my misery and get paid for it. But when I wanted to go home was Friday. I wanted to go home, and they were like, no, do us a favor, just this one last, because you're right there in Hollywood. You can pick this project up and make this delivery. I said, well, where am I going? They said, Venice. I go, oh, fuck, dude. I don't want to go to Venice. They're like, come on, please. You're the only one. You're right by there. Just pick it up. It'll be great. And I said, okay, fine. And they said, we'll give you an extra $10 in your pay envelope for gas. I said, all right, fine. So I pick it up, and it's a script. In a big manila thing, and it's I have to go to New Crime Productions in Venice, and it says, attention, John Cusack. So I figure New Crime Productions must be John Cusack's production company, so that's fine. I don't mind going because I'm a Cusack guy, and I'm like, well, fuck, what if I get to meet Cusack? That'd be fun. So then I have to struggle to get to fucking Venice, and by the time I get down there from Hollywood through the traffic and everything like that, it's like 8:30, so it's nighttime. I mean, I park outside, and I walk up, and I knock on the door, and nobody answers. And I knock again, nobody answers. I call on my walkie-talkie. I go, look, there's nobody here. It's dark. And they said, no, they said they would definitely be there. You have to make this delivery, please. I go, well, dude, I'm just going to slide it under the door. They go, no, you can't, because there has to be a signature, because if he doesn't get it, then we're on the hook. Come on, please, you're there. Just go ahead and walk around or, do something, get their attention. I said, all right, whatever the fuck. So I knock on the door again. Nobody answers. So I go in. I try the door. It's unlocked. And so I walk in. And there's nobody there. It's not a secretary. There's a light on in the foyer, but there's no other lights on. There's not a fucking soul in the building. So now I'm like, well, Cusack's not here. There's no secretary. There's nobody. So I walk in and I go, hello. I yell hello. Nobody. Nobody says anything. And I yell hello again. Nobody answers. I should tell you, my wife loves John Cusack. And you're not in your right mind when things like this are happening, folks. So part of me thought that if I met John Cusack, like I could get him to call my wife and say that I was a good guy. I don't know. Again, you're not thinking clearly, but I'm thinking if I got to meet him, because he's somebody we both love. We love Grosse Pointe Blank. We love John Cusack. So I'm thinking, what if I got to meet him and I got to like kind of spill on him, and then he would take, of course he'd love me because why not? I'm a good guy, not realizing that I'm this 500-pound quivering mass of tears and sadness, and he's going to want me to get away from him immediately. But I have this weird thing where I think I could get Cusack to help me get Karen back. So I can't find him in the building. I yelled twice, hello, nobody comes in. So I call on the walkie-talkie. They go, well, we'll call over there. So they actually call. The phone rings on the desk. Nobody answers it. I go, guys, I'm just leaving it on the desk. They're like, no, you got to stay. So I fucking put the walkie-talkie down, and I sit down on the couch in the foyer waiting for anybody to come, answer the phone, walk in, anybody. And in the lobby, there's desk and, there's a, it's a funky little place. It's not just like an office. There's a fridge and all this stuff in another room. So I go in there. I walk into the kitchen and I look around because again I'm a snoop at heart. And in the kitchen, there's a boombox. There's a radio. Like there's a bunch of snacks and then there's a radio there on the counter. Boombox. So I have been listening in my car to this music, this audio version of my wife for a full week. One of the songs on one of the CDs in my car is In Your Eyes by Peter Gabriel. So despite the fact that I'm still devastated and sad, I'm still a fucking smartass at heart. And I'm getting pissed off that nobody's coming out here because I want to go home. So I go, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to fucking take that boombox and I'm going to stand in front of the building and play In Your Eyes and hold it over my head, Lloyd Dobler style, until somebody fucking comes out here and takes this goddamn package. So I figure, now I'm onto this idea. Now I love this idea. So I'm like, fuck it. I got to do it before they come out here. So I immediately go over. I unplug the fucking boombox and I take it outside. And now I got to go into my car. And like I said, I got a 6 CD changer. So I've got it's just on a loop. They're all playing. So now I have to figure out which CD has the fucking one. And the thing is, you'd think I would have labeled them. But unfortunately, folks, I didn't label my CDs. I didn't label what the songs were. Every single one of the 15 CDs I made says, "This is your fault." That's what I wrote on every single CD. This is your fault. This is your fault. This is your fault. Almost like a reverse Robin Williams from Good Will Hunting. Remember when he was like, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. Bullshit. It is my fault. So I made sure every single fucking CD had it burned right on there. This is your fault. Not 1, not 2, not 3. I didn't just this is your fault. This is your fault. So I have to now go through and like fast forward and try to find the fucking song. So I take the boombox. I go outside to my car. So already that's a felony. Like I've already stolen something. So it takes me a good 5 minutes, and I finally find the CD that has it. It's like song 11 on this one CD. I pop it out. I put it in the boombox, and I go to hit play. There's no fucking batteries in this boombox. It's plugged in to the fucking wall in the kitchen. What the fuck are you thinking, stupid? So I'm like, well, fuck it. I'll just plug it in and I'll just play it. I'll play it. I'll even hold it in the kitchen. I don't fucking care. Let's just do it. So I go walking inside. I walk in with the boombox. There's a woman standing in the kitchen. Can I help you? I'm walking in with their boombox. And I go, oh, hi. Yeah, I have a delivery. And she goes, is it the radio? I go, no. And I try to laugh, and I go, no, it's funny. I was going to play. And she's hearing none of it. And I go, well, I was here for like 15 minutes. Like, I'm trying to be indignant, but there's no way to be indignant. I'm holding their radio in my goddamn hand. So she puts her hand out. I give her the radio. She puts it back on the counter. And I fucking, I go, look, I have a delivery. It's for New Crime Productions. I give her the thing. She signs it. I go, where were you guys? Because now I'm pissed. Like, the phone rang. I said hello. I've been in here. We've called you a few times. She's like, I'm in the back. I go, okay, well, we yelled and called. I'm like, because now I'm pissed again. And she's like, look, just, give me the delivery. It's Friday night. It's late. We're closed. You should go. And I go, all right, fine. So I give her delivery. She signs, and I split. She slams the door behind me. I get in my car, and I'm like, fuck, because I missed a chance. Like, I missed a goddamn chance. How great would it have been to fucking try to summon Cusack with the goddamn Lloyd Dobler? It would have been great. So I get in my car. I start the car. I go back out of the driveway, and I realize I left the fucking CD in the fucking boombox. So I just, part of me is like, you know what, just shine it, dude. But then part of me is like, you know what? It took you a goddamn week to build these 15 CDs. Who knows what part of Karen is in there? You can't leave Karen here with John Cusack. You need to go in there and fucking stay and get Karen back. You can't. This is a 15 CD collection. If you lose part of it, you lose all of it. And if I lose all of it, I lose her. And I can't lose her a second fucking time. So I pull back in the driveway, and I go up, and I knock on the door, and I knock on the door, and I knock on the fucking door, and then finally she comes over. She's like, what is it? And I go, hey, this is going to be weird. I left a CD in the radio that I gave you. She goes, you left a CD in our radio? I said, yeah, she goes, well, all right. I go, it's important. You don't understand. It's a CD that it's my wife. It represents something that is important to me, and so now I'm stumbling like an asshat because I have to get Karen back. I have to get her back literally, and now I have to get her back figuratively. I can't even let the representation of her go. I need to get it back. So as I'm talking, the woman just turns on a heel, goes into the kitchen, fucking pops it open, and the best part, pulls it out, and I see her read it because it says, "This is your fault" in huge block letters, and she just looks at it. Just kind of fucking shakes her head, comes back and hands it to me. And I'm like, thanks. She slams the door. I get in my car and I fucking put the disc right back into the disc changer because I was not about to let it go. So eventually, as you all know, over time, my wife did come back and we did get back together. And I can tell you that the first place I took Karen, when we decided to go back out and give it a try, the first place I took her, even though we were living separately, I was in my own place, she was in her own place. The first place I took her when we decided to go ahead and try to make things work again was the beach by LAX. And we sat there and we talked about everything as we watched planes go out. And I can't tell you the difference in the feeling of when I was there alone, wondering what I'd done with my life, watching planes leave and seeing basically every dream I'd ever had go ahead and disappear into the distance. And then being there with my wife and realizing that I was going to actually make it work. So while planes might have been leaving, she was coming back. And that made me happy. You guys can get me at Mike at MikeSchmidtComedy.com. You guys can get me at Mike Schmidt, MySpace.com/MikeSchmidtComedy. Go be my friend at Facebook because, when my wife leaves again, I'm going to need to contact somebody. So go to Facebook.com/The40-Year-Old-Boy and be my friend there. And you can follow me at Twitter.com/The40-Year-Old-Boy. There's always things being twittered about there. No, there aren't, but who cares? Go follow me just because. It'll look great for all of us. And our friend Lily Von Stupp, of course, you can go ahead and follow her at Twitter.com/MNTease. That's TEASE. Go ahead and follow her and get information about the Monday Night Tease. And if you want to write Lily a personal letter, go ahead and write her a note at Lily at burlesque411.com. That's Lily, Lili, at burlesque411.com. Hey, what's happening? It's me, Mike, host of the 40-Year-Old Boy podcast. I wanted to tell you guys about the Year One download set that's available at MikeSchmidtComedy.com. It's got all the original music. It's got all the original episodes of Year One, 52 solid episodes of comedy. And it's also got all the liner notes that I wrote for the original episodes themselves. So go ahead and order that. Pick it up. You'll enjoy Year One just as much as you're enjoying Year Two right now. What? That noise in the background? Oh, yeah, that's me beating the dead horse as I try to sell you Year One over and over again. So go ahead and pick up the Year One download set from MikeSchmidtComedy.com. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the 40-Year-Old Boy. 52 episodes, $25, one brutally funny podcast. Hi, it's tomorrow. Damn it, this is long. All right. Want to remind you folks about the Monday Night Teas every Monday night at the 3 clubs on Santa Monica and Vine at 10 o'clock. Is someone coming this week that we need to know about?
Oh, my Christ. Oh, my Christ.
All right.
Evie Lavelle, Miss Exotic World Most Classic 2008. Plus, Venus DeMille, Legend in the Making 2007, Miss Exotic World. And I have 2-time Miss Exotic World title holder, Stephanie Blake with us.
Edie Lavelle, Venus DeMille, Evie DeVille, Evie Lavelle, Venus DeMille, and Stephanie Blake. They are all going to be here this week. And who's hosting? Doc and Stumpy are hosting. And again, I don't care so much for Stumpy, but Doc, sure, he's great. Never met them, don't know anything about them. So go to the Monday Night Teas. And again, remember to follow Lily at twitter.com/Monday Night Teas. And be her Facebook friend at facebook.com/Lily Von Stupp. Go ahead and do that. I also want to tell you, I mentioned that I had the 15 CDs of songs, and it was like 170 songs. And you're probably thinking to yourself, wow, how does Mike know all those numbers off the top of his head? Because Mike planned on talking about this last week. And so he dug up all of the CDs. I went and found them all, and I listened to them, and I broke them down on my iTunes, and I made separate playlists. And what I was going to do was I was going to put the entire 170 songs on iTunes as an iMix. And you would have heard, you would have seen, you would have known all of my pain. But I tried that, and I can tell you that iTunes, it's not as cool and intuitive as I thought it was going to be. I will tell you that a lot of the songs also, not a lot, but some of the songs aren't available in iTunes. And if they're not available in the iTunes store, you can't put them in an iMix. So what I did, folks, and this was a lot more work than I thought it was going to be, I sat down and boiled it down. And I took 170 songs, and I took 15 CDs, and I cut it down to the essential 41 songs, songs that had to be done. So I made a 41-song iMix called This Is Your Fault. And you can go and find it at iTunes. I don't know yet if you've got to search The 40-Year-Old Boy. I don't know if you search my name. All I know is I know for sure it's published because I saw it just before I started the show today. And it's funny because it's all lined up. You can buy it. I even wrote, I don't expect you to buy it, and I expect you to completely make fun of it, but I don't care. I wanted you to find a little bit about what I was thinking, and maybe you can feel what I was feeling, and look at the list. And it's funny because it's bookended by my wedding song. Like the first and last songs are the song that played on our wedding video. It's 2 different versions of the same song, and then everything in between is stacked up, and so go to iTunes and check it out. I'm not, like I said, I know you're not going to buy it, but you can at least see exactly what made me fucking cry my eyes out like an idiot. And please know there's another 130 songs that didn't make it. And but as long as it took me to build those CDs, it's taken me almost 5 days to fucking make these crucial decisions and pare it down to these 41 songs. So you'll be able to go and check it out on iTunes. I'll Facebook it and I'll Twitter it with a little link, and you guys can check it out. And also, I wanted to tell you that some of the songs that couldn't make it, there was a song. One of the songs that I used to listen to was, the song Drive by the Cars? Well, my friend Mex had done a version of that is just him and a piano. And I wore it out. I mean, it was absolutely on the list because, the Who's Gonna Drive You Home, and it made me think about my wife. And also it didn't hurt that I was driving around the whole time listening to it. It just, synergy on it was perfect. So since I couldn't put that on my iMix, that's going to close the show for you folks. So go ahead and listen to our friend Mex as he gives you Drive at the end, and then shakes a fist at me because he doesn't know that I'm putting this on here. And also, you'll notice that Slit Skirts is on there too, because that is one of the saddest songs ever, and because that's a Pete Townsend song. And the Who is playing the Super Bowl this weekend. I'm sure you all know that. And a lot of people are upset that the Who is playing the Super Bowl because they claim that Pete Townsend is a sex criminal because of his child pornography investigation that he did. Which makes me laugh, just the very phrase, child pornography investigation. I go, everybody's wrong in this situation. I think that, Pete Townsend was wrong. I think the people are wrong because it's like, look, he's a sex criminal, come on. The guy has no history of that, whatever. You're going to freak out. And then they're putting posters. Aren't there other things to be worried about, folks? Aren't there more pressing concerns in your lives than putting up posters that call Pete Townsend a sex criminal? But at the same time, Pete Townsend's going to download child pornography and then try to tell the cops that he was doing an investigation? Dude, I got news for you. Just because CSI uses your theme song doesn't mean you're on the team, okay? I mean, I know you want to think that you're all of a sudden deputized by the fact that Caruso takes his sunglasses on and off when you're singing, but you know what, buddy? Let's leave the SWAT team to handle that. You know what? Let's get Beyonce's gay SWAT team on the child pornography investigation, and let's let Pete Townsend go ahead and just continue to make music. We don't need you to go ahead and 'cause I'm a dick, folks. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm a decent guy because I am a jerk. And I'm not a jerk. Man, I'm an awful guy. I'm not an awful guy. I am not a good guy. But I don't think I'm a bad person overall. So, and go ahead and by all means judge that. I'm kind of a jagoff. I got no future. What am I talking about? But I am a jagoff. And I'm not a jerk. I'm a nice guy. It's just I guess I have jerky tendencies. I've done so much ridiculous stuff, and then I wonder afterwards, I'm like, man, how come I don't hang out with anybody? Here's why, because you're a dick. You're finished. You're finished. You're finished. You're finished. You're finished. You're finished. You're finished.